Hi, I'm Kathy Mills from Short Film Edits, and I'm here with Teig Sadhana for an interview today. How are you?
I'm very well. Nice to see you.
You too. Could we start this with you telling us a little bit about you?
Of course. I am, I guess, just the biography stuff. I'm an Aussie English actor. I'm originally from London, but I grew up and did all of my schooling, and my family's all based now in Australia. Um, and I am now located here in New York City. I spent my school days in Australia, and then when I graduated, moved back to the UK, and then through my time there, ended up finding opportunities here, which then brought me to the States, and I came here for school. I studied at the Stella Adler Studio of Acting in Manhattan, which was amazing and really hard, and really took my work to another level and sort of developed me to the actor that I am now, and gave me the platform to keep growing from here. And then after my 3 years in the conservatory program, I had a year to get a visa sorted so I could stay in the States and keep
Mm.
making work here. And so, fortunately enough, I landed in verticals, which was a game changer, a lifesaver. And I have been making verticals since then. So that was what, May 2024, is when I came out of drama school, and by like June was on a set. And then I've made 14, 15 since then, and
Yeah.
really enjoying building this process.
Yeah. So what actually drew you to the vertical space?
Paycheck. I needed
Yeah.
I needed my rent paid, and like I needed evidence for my visa application, and this job came up and it was a really good paycheck comparatively to what other theater jobs I was seeing around.
Yeah.
Um, and then once I got on set, I realized how exciting the new medium was. I
Mm.
think the fact that you turn a camera like this doesn't actually change much. And
Mm.
like I got on a set with people all together, crammed in an Airbnb, all with one task to make a movie. And we had like 7 days
Mm.
to make a movie. And it was so exciting. And I realized, I mean, I've always spoken with my friends. My friends at school used to make fun of me because I was always the guy who was like, we should be making our own movies, man. Like YouTube, right? And then I got on this set and started a whole career in kind of grassroots filmmaking, which is what this is essentially verticals. It's grassroots filmmaking with distribution and budget involved.
Yeah.
And it's really exciting because the next sort of phase for all of us is right around the corner. And that's like a
Mm.
slight elevation of production value and talent set and crews. We bring in people who really, really know what they're doing, and we take this all to the whole next level.
Yeah. I mean, even the YouTube videos, that's still content, and it's good and fun to
Yeah.
make what you actually want to make as well. So,
Yeah. Dude, I
yeah.
have a memory. I think there's a video on my YouTube, which is sparse. There's like four videos. But my friend came over for breakfast once in Australia, and I had just bought a 50 mil lens, which is a nerdy thing to be excited about, but I was really excited
I
about it.
get it.
And
Yeah.
I was cooking a fry up. Like I was cooking like an all in everything in one pan, eggs,
Yeah.
bacon, tomato, everything, in a pan fry up for the both of us. And we just shot this silly little video of a dude making too much breakfast for one person and then him sitting
Yeah.
eating it on his own. And you're right. I just put that up on YouTube for fun. I've had producers that I would then gone on to work with talk about that piece of work
Hmm.
as though it was a piece of work. It was just
Yeah.
me and my friend cooking breakfast, you know what I mean? But that's the
But
era
yeah,
we're
it's
in.
still a piece of work. And you'd be
Yeah.
surprised at how many people actually want to watch something like that.
It's really cool. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
there's so many of us out there. You've always got to just take a hit, take a swing, man.
Yep. Yep. Exactly. Okay. What lessons from theatre has helped you the most in the vertical dramas?
Ooh. Um, I think theater requires you to have a pretty sophisticated sense of humanity, which is a weird, wanky thing to say. But what I mean is like you really have to understand all of the components of acting and like being a person that you're not really that person, pretend all of this imagination. But you're also in theater, you're taking care of an audience at the same time.
Mm.
Um, which I think is really important. And as an actor, I think this is part of why people say theater is so important for actors, because in that process of understanding that there's an audience that have to receive what you're doing, you decentralize yourself as the most important thing. And I think an actor is most interesting when they don't think that they're interesting. And so if you can
Mm.
figure out how to decentralize yourself from something and serve the story, serve the room, serve the audience, um, I think that just develops your approach to the work. I think it deepens your approach to certainly character work, and you sort of understand how you then can fit in to telling a story rather than just like when you watch a guy acting and he's just acting, and you're like, that's
Mm,
acting, right? And then it's
yeah,
not really a story, right? But that's because he's too central to his own motive here. He's too caught in what he's
yeah,
doing. I think for me, that really helped me get out of my ego, get out of my head. And then for verticals, because we're kind of doing something pretty new here,
mm,
understanding who's watching, why they're watching, what we might need to cater to in that process. It's like knowing the product. And I think that sort of willingness and want to serve the audience in a way that's authentic and like rooted in the story, but still understanding that I don't have a camera in my face to just look pretty and like pout.
yeah.
I'm trying to actually forward the story that we're all gathered here to do and like the people are paying online for. So I think theater just gives you a very stark moment where you've got like 200, 400, 1,000 people looking you in the face and you're like, oh shit, I'm not that important. I better do this and do this for everyone. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get
Yeah.
that. I mean, I love theatre. Um, so like since watching the verticals as well, I've also noticed like going to watch a theatre performance in verticals, you don't have much movement. You can't, go really over the top. Whereas theatre, you can go
Mm.
all out, and that's what really brings it, so to speak.
Yeah. Dude, I miss it. I really miss that. I'm like my background is heavily theater based and like high art theater school. So like they didn't take any prisoners. They were pretty brutal in the best ways. And sometimes a little too old school in that way, but like it
Mm,
definitely got people to certain places. And I really miss that. And I think actually this is one of those things that is lost because we've turned the camera. And so because we turn the camera, we're afraid you can't move so much. But I actually think some of the best like the best cut and edited verticals don't worry too much about slipping the frame a little bit about moving around because
mm,
especially the Western audiences, we're so accustomed to filling in that space with our imagination, right? We're so
yeah.
film literate. We've seen so many movies. We know this art form. And so if it's like a super close up and like sometimes half the guy's face slips out, that doesn't actually bother our audiences that much. But I
Mm,
know at the current state and the way that we're trying to make these applicable for both the East market and the new incoming West market, that is something that's like a problem, for instance, for platforms, because I think that's
mm,
something that we have to figure out a middle ground so that both audiences and both senses of film literacy are appreciated and taken care of. But it's interesting
yeah.
because like a good example is My Sexy Devil on Candy Jar, which like shout out to that team. I don't know how the fans all feel about that, but from my perspective as a filmmaker and as an actor, it's a really top quality project. And the way it's cut is with great respect to the imagination of the audience. So
Good.
it really does allow for a 3D effect because you're filling in the extra sides, the extra space, because the camera's got this freedom of movement, which you're seeing little bits over here and movement, and it just feels more kinetic. It feels more cinematic, and I think it levels up the storytelling a lot.
Yeah. I also think, people that are like directors and, things like that are also trying to understand how to shoot vertically. It's still a learning process for them as well, I
Yeah,
guess, because they're so used to doing horizontally and things like that, that
dude,
I think
absolutely,
they
yeah.
then know what they can get away with. And that's a learning process. So,
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And isn't that cool? We're like part of something that we're just trying to figure it out. So we're going to be
yeah,
seeing all of the people who like really poke their head above the parapet coming through. And I think that's what 2026 is going to be. I think
yeah,
2026 is going to be a whole bunch of different people popping up and showing us new directions we can take this in and really
yeah.
legitimizing the space.
I can't wait to see that. I
Yeah,
see good things for these. So, it's good.
me
All right.
too.
How do you make heightened dramas feel real and grounded?
Um, Thanks for the compliment if you mean it. Um, it can be really tricky. These scripts are insane. And sometimes
Mm,
I mean the process of making them is insane. You get seven days to make like to film 100 pages. Like a regular set
yeah,
on like a traditional film set, you maybe shoot like 4 or 5 pages a day. And we shoot like 15 to like I've done like 17, 18 pages before,
yeah,
which is a lot. So you
it
get
is.
you get a quick swing at it. You don't get long. You get maybe a couple takes. And I think hopefully you've got a good connection and a good team around you.
Mm,
Hopefully, like for me, I love crews. As like again, as a filmmaker, I love all of the aspects. I'm not just like an actor's actor. I really love to see like the gaff. I love how lights move and change things. Um, and I feel like the more, for me at least, the more that I'm aware and sort of like playing in step with everyone and not micromanaging at all, but aware of that
mm,
other people have jobs and aware of
yeah.
the sort of borders of their responsibilities, the more I can then like relax into mine. And then I think when a person is properly like dropped in and relaxed, it reads grounded, even if the lines are insane, you know. It's
Mm.
a struggle
Yeah.
sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think it would be very beneficial for every actor to just have some common knowledge as to what everybody does. They don't need to like
Yeah.
know how to do it. They just need to understand it.
Dude, I
Um,
absolutely agree. Yeah.
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 Yeah. I think that would be beneficial for everybody on set.
Yeah, it makes it also just is like easier than to collaborate. Or like really
Mm.
simple and stupid. If something's falling over, you can catch it. Because there's a
Yeah.
weird thing on sets where like a light will be falling and I'll be like, guys, and I'll go to grab it. And then the light man will be like, no, please don't touch my light. Because like I'm an actor. I'm like, bro, it's a
Oh,
pole. It's like a light on a stick, man. Let me just like
yeah.
help you from that breaking. It's like
And I'm
thousands of
saving it from
dollars.
breaking so you don't have to buy a new
Yeah,
one. Yeah.
literally though. But it's a
Yeah.
weird thing on sets that I think comes from a like a and maybe it makes sense, and especially when the stress is higher, like don't mess with my job because I'm gonna get in
Yeah.
trouble, and there's like sets are worth a lot of money, so it's maybe scary. I don't know, but again,
Yeah.
I just think it's good to collaborate.
Yeah. I agree. I agree. Which vertical project best represents you as an actor?
Oh, great question.
Thank you.
I like the way that my boss is my secret sperm donor plays. I think
Mhm.
in term and the reason I took that, I mean, crazy title. Obviously, like my visa journey was part of that decision making as well. And I was fortunate enough that that opportunity came along. But I think the way that it was shot was the most standard rom-com that I've worked. So I think
Mm.
like I've got a full copy that's not cut into 1 minute episodes because the production company, which was an incredible production company in NYC called Steadfast Productions, which is headed by Ben Poster, and they sent me a full copy of the film, so I can just watch it like a movie. It's obviously still vertical, but
Oh.
it's not cut up, and it plays like an actual rom-com. It's
Mm.
obviously still some of the scenes are like heightened and silly. Some of the concepts are weird. Like my assistant or my character's assistant sneaks his sperm into the woman he like it's weird, right? But it's as a film, it actually plays quite nicely. So I think that's quite a fun and exciting look into a linear narrative that works as a linear narrative and doesn't randomly take a bunch of different left turns. But
Yeah.
within saying that, I really like, for instance, I like the Cougar film that I did with Kate Krieger in LA, which was well after divorce, I enter my Cougar era. I think
Yeah.
that there are some moments in that where like Kate was such a powerful and brilliant actor that we could really actually just play. And I crave for more work with her. I would love to work with her on stage shows. We joke about doing Venus in Fur together because it would just be so
Mhm.
good. Um,
Yeah.
but that's kind of where it's been, is you get little glimpses of the real thing. And I'm
Yeah.
really looking forward to in verticals, the first point at which sort of I come away from a project and I feel like all of it is me really trying and me really working and me really acting. And we're getting there.
Yeah.
We're gonna get there hopefully this year.
Yeah. Do you know how many, when you said that you got it in like the full thing, do you know how many I'd like to see just play out in like a full movie? That would be,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, well, truly. I mean, the closest you can get is like what ripping them from Daily Motion, which
Yeah. But,
can't be a smart business move. From surely the platforms could like sell them for $1 or something. I don't
mm,
know, but then they would get pirated even more. I don't know.
yeah,
I
it's
don't
a
know.
sticky subject, that one. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, I bet. I would love some footage just as an actor, and it's my face on everything. If they sent me
Mm.
footage, I can then use it to help promote the show. This is
Yeah,
something that like should be part of deals coming forward. And again, this is the
I agree.
business ramping up this year is things like send talent the trailer so that we can and
Mm.
like tell us when the release date is. They don't even
Yes,
tell us
that's a big
when
one.
it's getting released. Because then we
Yeah.
can talk to everyone. We're so close with all of the fans. We're like part of the fan space, so we can run up some hype. But I think,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I'm not quite sure what the thought is there, but maybe that's sort of some of the strategy stuff that will come in this year.
Mm. I hope so because yeah, I know a lot of you guys are like we just want some of our footage, you know. to use in
Yeah.
like content and everything, but they don't know how to get it, which is
I get
yeah.
asked for my reel all the time, but I haven't got half of the footage because they won't send it to me. And it's like
Mm,
people that I'm working for, that I have worked for and asked for footage are asking for my reel now. I'm like, guys, like help us out. Like help
mm,
us out. Like
yeah. Hopefully that is a thing next year. Hopefully
yeah.
that can come about. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, what did self-producing Claymates teach you that acting alone didn't?
You did your research.
I did.
That was a funny one. That was COVID. I had just flown back to Australia. I was because I was in my first year of drama school when COVID hit. And I thought initially I was going to stay and like bear through whatever this was here in New York. And then they started burying bodies in Central Park, and like the DFAT was closing the border in Australia.
Yeah.
Like headlines just went crazy. Everyone panicked. And so like a week later, I flew back to Australia, and I got there like days before the hotel quarantine stuff happened, right?
Mm,
So luckily for me, my parents had a little like connected like mini apartment to the house where someone had been living for a long time and had just moved out. And so I had the luxury of doing my 2 week quarantine in that little room. I say luxury. My parents had just got like a 6 week old puppy, like a little Kelpie puppy, and it was running around the glass doors, and I was stuck there in quarantine. But that's okay. But yes, so during those 2 weeks, I was still doing online courses at drama school, which was really weird because obviously it's Australia. So I was doing it
mm,
at like 4 in the morning. I would start, my classes would start at like 9 p.m. Australian time. And then my day would finish at like 7 a.m. Australian time. And like it just was like the Twilight Zone. It was horrible. It was like
yeah.
trying to do like improv, and like you're walking around like in your quarantine, and the teacher is like, feel your feet with your feet, man. And like it's like 4 in the morning and I'm living off like shitty coffee. Like I just like it was
Yeah.
horrible. But one of the
Oh,
assignments in that period was to make a short film because I think they had realized there was only so much they could do online. And so they assigned us something we could do in our rooms with our phones. And so Claymates was that. I just started sculpting, which is a practice I picked up because I wanted to like learn how my brain learns. Like I was deep in acting school and it was all like high art, rah, and it was kind of a lot. And so I wanted to pick
mm,
up something that was like simple, like Play-Doh, like what's the most caveman thing I can do? And I ended up falling in love with it. And so I had ordered some clay to the apartment, the little room where I was living in, and came up with this idea of a dude who make and it kind of was happening to me. I was making all these little sculptures, and then they were like there were more of them in the room than me, and so this sort of story
yeah.
started developing, which was that idea, and it worked well with the sort of COVID isolation concept that the teacher was going for as well.
Mm,
In terms of what it taught me, it was really hard. Some of the like all of it's myself, obviously, because I'm in quarantine, so there was no one else doing anything, and the honestly the hardest thing was the fact that my camera doesn't have a good focus. You
mm,
can't really tell the focus very well through the this picture on the back. So a lot of the shots are out of focus and a bit all over the place, but that's kind of fine because it's meant to be janky. Um,
mm,
I learned to rely on myself a lot doing that, I think.
yeah.
Um, and there's a lot of those shots that like they feel long in retrospect now, even in the film. They're like really long, protracted shots. But when I was shooting them, they were even longer because I would just set the camera and just like sit there, and then I would just pick a bit, you know? Um, so I think that gave me a lot of freedom. I think I learned a lot of like just the joy of like trusting that something will happen. Like press the
Mm,
button and something will happen because it always
yeah.
does, right? You know?
Yeah. Oh, I love that. And it's like you can learn from that as well. So like you can go back to then and see where you are now and go, look how much I've grown, and
Yeah,
yeah, it's really cool.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Which character surprised you the most once you'd played them?
Ethan? I can't remember his name. Ethan? Yeah, Ethan, I think, from Hurt Me, Love Me.
Hmm.
That character still is like one I'm boggled by. I struggled playing him because he was so difficult and so angry and so kind of evil and brutal, and the writing was so intense. But then he was received really well. That's probably the role when it first came out, because they come out and then you get a wave of messages, which is awesome. Some good, some bad. A lot of people just kind of like, a lot of people think you're the character, which is kind of weird, fun.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that one when that came out. I got so many positive messages.
That's
And
good.
not about like the acting side of things, but about them loving Ethan, that they loved
Mm.
that character. Um, and I really was like, why? Like he's a kind of a bastard. Like I don't know why you like that guy. And like I tried really hard to like humanize him and like
Mm.
trap him into a corner so it looked like an animal that was like lashing out because he thought he was in a corner. You know what I mean? And I think people resonated with that a lot, which is
Mm.
cool and unexpected because I again like I didn't really mean for it to be resonated with. I just wanted to make it make sense for me so I didn't just feel like I was
Yeah.
playing bad man. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you must have somehow justified his outbursts and emotions in the film for
Yeah,
people
yeah.
to
I mean, he's
resonate with
pretty
it.
bad, dude.
Yeah.
Thanks. I appreciate it. I don't know how much I can justify some of the stuff he does in that. But people
Mm.
definitely liked it at least, and maybe, yeah, reflected on their own lives and felt maybe cornered in their own ways, and so
Yeah.
felt some of him and some of his sort of stress.
And everybody takes things and like interprets things differently. So people would have
Yeah.
seen that character in a different way depending on how they were looking at it. So
Yeah, for sure. And that's one of the coolest things is like I can do one thing, but I might be speaking in a completely different like spiritual language than I think I am, just depending on how
mm,
someone might hear it, which is
yeah.
cool. It's scary because I feel responsible for that a lot.
Mm,
But it's also not necessarily my responsibility, you
no,
know?
it's not. No, it's not. I mean,
Mm,
you're doing a job, and even though you may feel like that you want to like just make everybody happy or not, things like that, you can't help what people interpret from that. So
yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Actually, I'm putting that in my pocket. Thank you very much. Yeah.
you're welcome. Um, how has working across different countries shaped your empathy as an actor?
We are all the same, dude. Like,
Mm,
you move enough, you realize it. Like, you show up to a new country, everything's new and novel, and a month later, you're the same person again. Um,
yeah,
everybody's the same. And I love that. I find that so grounding. I find it so like it reminds me to be nice to people, which is weird to be have to be reminded, but all of us have to go through that, I guess. Um, but it like is an endless well of like I just see reflections. I see my own reflection in other people because I've just met people from all over the place. And this world is we live on a big rock. It's a tiny rock, but it's a big rock, right?
it's a big one.
And
Yeah.
like we're so far from each other, but we're all so similar. And like
Mm,
when you when you really like emotionally and intellectually understand that, it's really hard to resent people. It's really hard
yeah.
to hold things against people too much. Um,
Yeah.
and then as an actor, I think that then gives you the more that you're able to empathize and like show compassion and love for other people's point of views and perspectives, the more that I think you can then lean into them and act well as them. Do you know what I mean? I think
Yeah.
you just have more than as a resource to give your roles.
Yes. I think it would help with accepting diversity a lot more as well.
Mm. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I come from a queer family. So when I grew up, my family was like the only lesbian family in my community. And I remember
Mm.
being really like, for a long time, being really uncomfortable about it because I was so afraid of what my peers would think. And then by the time I hit 16, it was like the fashionable thing, which in
Mm.
itself was a challenge, because it was like,
Yeah.
why? Like I felt and built up all of these anxieties around my family and how people would speak about the community and things like that. Um, and then all of a sudden it was fashionable. It was like, what the hell
Yeah.
is going on? But again, that is that diversity. I really clearly remember my mom had a bumper sticker that she had not on the car, but on the wall above the oven, that said diversity, don't knock it till you try it. Just like a cringy, like
Love
early
that.
2000s bumper sticker, right? And I
Love
remember
that.
being like, Mom, what is diversity? And having that conversation with her. But
Yes.
at that point, not realizing that I was diverse, that we were diverse. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
I think that's part of the joy is realizing, oh shit, I am part of that. But I didn't
Mm.
perceive myself to be, oh, cool, okay, cool. So therefore we're all in this together. And that's the joy of diversity, right?
Absolutely. I mean, the back of my car is filled with LGBT stickers and heart
Yeah.
surfer stickers, and yeah. And you know, the
Dude, you should
only
see my
sad
mom's car
part,
now. It's pretty cool.
yeah.
Yeah, sorry, go on.
Oh, I'd love to see that. Yeah, just
Yeah,
colorful.
yeah. Now it's like stickers a go-go. Yeah.
Yeah. And the only sad part about that conversation is the fact that you had to feel that way to begin with. You
Mm.
know, you had
Yeah.
to feel like you didn't, yeah. So,
Yeah, I think it but again, I think it's something that I'm really grateful for now because I didn't
mm,
like I've always had to reckon with the idea that people think differently than me. And I
yeah,
think that then and like I have to go to school and be their friends and like be there like might like be I had to be aware that like my best friends might feel weird about my family, which is it
yeah,
sounds so brutal now, but like people who were around before the community, the LGBTQ community was so sort of mainstream now. People before then, as I'm sure you remember, like it was hard and these you just
mm,
like had to deal with these on a level. Um
yeah,
there was a level of acceptance you had to have. And I think you can look back for me, I can look back at that and say, oh, I felt so ostracized. I felt so like secretly ashamed and all of those emotions. Or I can look at it and be like, well, actually, it gave me so much bandwidth for my perspective of the world that I knew that I could be friends with people that might hold a different perspective than me and my family. And that there's more to connections with people than like political ideology, religious ideology, or ideology around how a family might operate best. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Okay. What's a career risk you've taken that paid off?
Moving to America sounds like a dream. Like, oh my God, New York. Like, I'll go. It's so hard, dude. It's so
Mm,
hard to live here because it's just so cutthroat. Um, that was a huge risk. I was living in London at the time when I got into school here in New York. I was living in London and I was working like market jobs and like it was fine. I was doing okay. And then this opportunity came up and I didn't really think anything was going to come of it. I filmed a tape in like the top little like computer studio of my friend. Like my friend worked at a primary school. And so I went and used like a little empty room in a primary school, right? And shot an audition tape and sent it off. And then went traveling with my girlfriend at the time. And we were traveling. We were in Barcelona by the time I got an email from the school saying, "Can you do a call back?" And I was like, "Well, I had a camera, but I didn't have a microphone or anything." And like, I'm literally in a hostel trying to figure out what am I
mm,
going to do for this callback. So we go to a camera store in Barcelona and we buy a microphone. And then like a week later, we were in my dad's side of the family is all in Portugal. So a week later, we were in my dad's house in Portugal, and I locked myself in a spare room there and shot this callback finally and sent it in. Still not really thinking about it, but knowing it was worth a shot. And then they got back to me a couple of days later and offered me a spot, and it was like devastating and beautiful and exciting. I think I knew at that point, me and my partner, like my girlfriend at the time, knew that that was kind of the end of that era, which was
mm,
crazy and really hard to swallow at the time, but also like one of those beautiful human moments that like we all have where like
mm,
I really like we really had something beautiful, she and I think we both ushered each other into the next stage of our lives in a really beautiful way we didn't know was happening at the time. But when you reflect on it, like now I'm 30, I
mm,
was what 22, 23 at that point. So I look back on it and I'm like, wow, like that was one of those cool human moments that like you read in a book and it means something, but it happens to you, you have to wait a couple years before it hits you. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, definitely. I've had that experience too. And, you know,
Yeah.
every single interaction is also beautiful and a learning experience. So even if it doesn't
Yeah.
work out or even if it goes bad, you still learn from that and you can take away the good
Yeah.
moments.
Yes. Yes. And at least learn from the bad.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes. Yes,
Oh, yes.
definitely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. How has working in vertical dramas expanded your opportunities?
Amazingly. I mean, these are exploding. So my like
Mm,
Instagram blew up. I've been able to be part of amazing press opportunities. Like I've been in The Guardian, which is huge. Like sending my mom a copy of The Guardian that had a photo of me in it. Amazing. I have a copy of The Times that I'm in it, and it says above my head, "Will like micro dramas save the
mhm.
film industry?" Like again,
Yeah.
these were like really useful for my visa process and have
Mm,
obviously created the opportunity of staying and living in the States through that, but also just like that really helps me with producers with when projects are looking for someone and they can see, okay, I've got these legacy media articles
Mm.
attached to me, or I've got this body of work now, which it's really, really hard as an actor to come out of school and amass a body of work. It's really, really
Yes.
difficult to do that because there's so few. I mean, how many actors to make a film? You need people and you can
Hmm.
do it with a couple people, but even still you're going to need a few collaborators, otherwise you end up with out of focus shots like Claymates, right? So it's really, really bloody hard. Like if you're an artist, an oil painter, you can sit in a bedroom and just paint. And like in theory, you'll have a body of work. As an actor, it's so collaborative and it's sort of one of the final puzzle pieces of the collaboration process. So it's really hard to create enough substantial work to prove you can even do the thing you say you are,
Mm.
right? So I came out of school, made ten films before I even started my visa process. So I went into the visa process with a backlog of 10 movies and like I'm on the posters and it's like running and they're like running numbers. Some of them have millions and millions of views. And
Mm.
so it really like exploded my opportunities and what's possible for me here in this industry. And then from here, it's about I've been handed a ball. Like I caught a ball. Now it's like, where do we run with it? What do we do?
Yeah.
And who do we bring with us? How do we like make sure that we're making a way that people can follow and we're leaving that ladder
Yeah.
down behind us, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I think as an actor, content is your biggest friend. Like
Yeah.
content.
Yeah. But see, I don't want to do like, I don't know how good I would be at like outfit of the day stuff. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I love it. Don't get me wrong. I scroll on TikTok like the next
Mm.
man, but like, I just don't think I'm not like that kind of social media guy where I can just
Yeah.
spam like things of my face all day, every day, and that's it. Um, but I have to figure out some sort of relationship with social media because it's clearly such a fertile ground for what we're doing, and it's
Yeah.
so part
And
of the industry.
yeah. And I mean, I've seen those as well, the outfit of the day thing, and it's cool, but not everybody, like you said, can do that. Some
Yeah,
people are still learning what's good and what's not about social media. And
yeah,
it can be a nasty space, and it can
yeah,
also be a positive space, but you've got to find the right thing to do for you. And you
yeah,
don't have to be like that other person. You need to find what works for you. Um,
yeah, yeah.
so
Again,
yeah.
thank you. Yeah, yeah, it's so true. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're giving me great advice today, dude. I really
Oh,
appreciate
thank you.
it.
As long as I don't give bad advice, it's good. Yeah. What keeps you motivated during slower periods?
I try to stay curious.
Mm,
And that comes in different ways and it comes in waves of different things and they don't feel the same. I don't think it's always active, but the common denominator, the things that get me up in the morning, especially in slow periods, which come, and as an actor, they come.
mm,
Might
yeah.
do like I just did a flurry of 5 or 6 films back to back, and then now it's Christmas. And that's a
Yeah.
scary period. Like I've been off since November, mid to late
Mm,
November, right? And then I don't have a contract, and then it'll all pick up again in January, and you have to have that faith. But I'm just
yeah.
like living off that like little flurry of work that I did. So these slow
Yeah.
periods really do come. Um, and I really do make an effort to stay as curious as possible. And like I was saying, the things
Mm,
that I think get me out of bed in the morning, the most common denominator between them are that they pique my curiosity. Um,
mm,
so it's sometimes, for instance, that is like I love to walk. I get up in the morning. I love to go and do a big loop walk around my area. I go down by the water. I have like a spot that I sit in. Like I do my little practice, my little prayer practice there, which is just between me and the universe. And then I continue on, and eventually get back home. And by that point, I'm like awake and like the life has
mhm,
started. But I think that always starts because I wake up and I look out the window, and if the sky is a little blue, I'm like curious. I'm like, oh, I want to see what it looks like out there. And like I've
mhm.
walked that loop so many times, but it's still that little thing of like, oh, like okay, cool, let's go check it out. You know what I mean?
Every day is
I
different.
often every day, exactly, every day is different, and like something out there is going to be interesting always. When
Mm,
is it not interesting, right? And I
yeah.
let that lead me into like I'll like see a church and randomly walk in. I'm not deeply religious. I think this is a lot of
Mhm,
people sometimes message me thinking I'm really religious. I'm not. I love religion. I love theology. I love the concept of religion, but I'm not a religious person myself. I just have my own practice and my own relationship to like the universe and spirituality. And again, that's one of those things that for me comes from curiosity. It comes from I
Yeah.
have a I think that the universe has a very funny sense of humor and it keeps playing tricks on me that I find really funny. So I'm curious about whatever that is because I want to have
Yeah.
a conversation with that because it's funny and I
Yeah.
like its sense of humor. So again, that's one of those things keeps me grounded, keeps me motivated because I'm curious, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I'm personally not religious in any way, but I have full respect for everybody who is. And,
Absolutely.
everybody sees things or the world differently. And you just have to just accept it and just
Yeah.
let them be them. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And look, if someone has something that makes them yearn to be kinder, nicer, more compassionate, who am I to get in the way of that? If it's a book I can
Yeah.
read or not, like, fuck yeah. You know?
Yep. Absolutely. I agree. All right. What's something about acting you wish people or you wish more people understood?
Uh, ooh, that it is a lottery. Like
Mm,
it's really hard to make it work. I've worked and studied with some top draw actors that just because of like marketability or because of like certain timing or like simple little things, their talent
mm,
never got seen. Um,
yeah.
I think there's an impression that like the talented actors will rise to the top.
Mm,
I don't know how much I believe that. I've worked with people like in Canberra, for instance, in Australia, small town Australia,
yeah.
that are teachers, but are some of the
Mhm,
finest actors I've ever worked with.
yeah.
And their life didn't go that direction. So they're not on Netflix, but they are like high art, fine actors. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and that there's and that in that is not the concept of success and failure
No.
either. I think we think of like industry success is artistic success, and it's just not true, right? Because
Mhm.
I think some of the most beautiful work I've ever seen has been on a small stage in Queanbeyan. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that is cool. I think that's really cool to me.
Yeah, I have that experience, but more with like singing. So like I used to
Yeah,
do like singing competitions and things like that, and there are so many brilliant singers that are, in my opinion, sometimes better than the ones that are massive, but they just haven't been seen. They haven't
yeah,
reached the right people, and sometimes they don't want that. Sometimes they're
yeah,
happy being a teacher or a baker or something, but they just love to sing, so they keep in that little
yes.
bubble. But like you said, some talent just doesn't get seen. Um,
Yeah, yeah. And I love that. I think we need to put more respect on art for the sake of the art. That like
mm,
they just love to sing.
yeah,
And I think there's something so pure and beautiful that has created the industry. The industry didn't create the art created the
mm,
industry, right? And so like we should be that should be esteemed higher than I think it is. Artists
yeah,
just doing the art for the sake of the art.
yeah. I think a level of confidence and drive has a lot to do with that too. Like my
Hmm.
stepmom, she
Hmm.
paints. All these paintings behind me are from her. She is
Oh
brilliant.
wow.
Yeah, but
Oh,
she
that's so
hasn't.
she's got such a cool style.
She
I
does.
love it.
I love them. I've got so many. But she just hasn't taken it any further. She was offered
Yeah.
to go around and paint things for like the council, things like that. But she said no because she didn't
Yeah.
have the confidence to do it. But she went
Right.
down to
Right.
her local river, like things like that, and on their toilet block, she just painted this big mural. Um,
Oh, bless.
and because she felt comfortable doing it, there wasn't any pressure or things like that. So I think the pressure also is a massive thing in this industry too. Some people just
Yeah.
can't or don't want that.
That's such a good point. Pressure is a lot. And it's something that I think in acting comes up in like the pressure in terms of like wanting a role and then you mess up the audition because you wanted the role and panicked. Do you know what I
Hmm.
mean? But I think also there's pressure in that like there is that. I mentioned that like I was from acting school and it was really brutal, right? I think some of that is unnecessary pressure as well. The idea that like art has to be hard. Like it doesn't
Mm.
always have to be hard. It can be like easy and light and fun. And sometimes I actually think sometimes when you create the space for that playfulness, you get the most out of people. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And then if you want to get make it harder, we can go down more technical routes if you want. But
Mm.
ideally, you want to create a space that's least stressful and least pressured, so therefore you can get the best out of people's artistry, right?
Yep. I agree. I agree. Okay. What's the most valuable piece of professional advice you've ever received?
I'm trying to think professional advice. Um, this came from a teacher from Stella Adler called Melissa Maxwell, who taught us the business of acting side of things. So we did tapes for her regularly, and she would grill us on the tapes. And then she was a very intense teacher, but hard line, but great. She referring to, I think, a quote from an old Hollywood like horror actor. You used to always say, "Find your bag and jump in it." That like that's a great way to keep moving forward as an actor is find whether your bag is like what you love to do or whether your bag is what you're good at and like what other people think that you're good at. Find whatever it is that like keeps the light on, that like lights the little fire. Find your bag and jump in it.
Yep.
I think a lot of people are quite afraid to commit, I think, to like
Mm.
styles or like any sort of approach because they want to leave doors open, which is clever.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not saying that that's not a smart way to do things, but sometimes it really does benefit you to like look at where you're most needed. Look for the round, if you're a round peg, look for the round hole and jump through it. You
Yep.
know what I mean?
Yeah. Because you could miss out on a major opportunity by waiting for something that may not show up.
Bang on. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. How do you handle scenes that require quick chemistry with a new co-star?
I always try to like, um, I always try to break ice in really chill ways. Like I'm not a weird, intense actor. I really don't play that way.
Yeah.
But I like to like, you know, those little micro things you can do on a set just to be like, hey, dude, we're like playing. This is cool.
Mm.
It can be tone. I think with especially like as a young male actor working with female actors on romance scenes, like the way that you just like speak in between takes can completely
Mm.
cut anxiety, can completely cut weirdness, and can level you to a point where it's like, hey, dude, like we're playing. This is like we're having fun. Like, cool. I want you to just like realize I'm a goofball. We're doing this together. Because I think sometimes people get so far in their heads, they forget to like offer that to each other. And like that's like what we're saying before of creating a space that's like pressure free, stress free, collaborative. And it's like it's respect. You know what it is? Being too convoluted about it. It's the respect of like I'm doing my job and you're doing your job, and so like let's do this together. Like if you're like cleaning the popcorn machine at a movie theater together, like you're both just doing your job. So there's like a camaraderie about it. And if once you like establish that camaraderie with with like your scene partner, I think you can then play and you can create some really cool things together because you're getting the most out of each other. You're like letting them access parts of themselves that if they're a little bit guarded because they're like, who the fuck are you? And like the
Mm.
power feels a bit weird, they're not going to be able to go there and like figure out cool things and like offer funny ideas. Do you know what I mean? So I try
Yeah,
really hard to
absolutely.
like just really like set the groundwork that like we're colleagues, we're working, and this is cool. Like let's play.
Yeah, respect and trust is a huge thing in that area.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, absolutely.
yeah. All right. When you're building a character, what's the smallest detail that ends up making the biggest difference for you?
It seems small, it's massive. Point of view.
Mm.
I think that's like one of the key things that I found in drama school that like changed everything for me and gave me a really clear idea of how acting works for me is you can like I'm angry, I'm sad is like very like general wash. That's like putting like a blue light across the stage. It's like a general wash. But if you go, I'm sad because or this is making me sad. My perspective of this situation is making me sad. Or like that person does this and that makes me angry. It's so much more
Mm.
specific, right? And that is such like a small change to make, but its ripple effect is tremendous. It
Yeah.
like will make or break a performance. Because again, it's that thing that we mentioned before of like when you look at someone and they're just doing angry, you're like, all right, he's angry. Let's wait till the thing happens in
Mm.
the script where he becomes happy, right? It's like this like general fucking thing, right? But if you can see that he's angry because of this really specific series of events and behavior that's happening, now we're talking about like human interaction. And that's what we're all
Yeah.
here for, right? It's the nuance of like a human being experience something. And that's why people watch film, television, and theater. So point of view. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. All right. If you could acquire one skill from any actor you've worked with, what would it be and why?
Another really, really cool question.
Thank you.
Uh, one skill from any actor I've worked with. I gotta find an actor. Okay. I worked with a man called Michael Sparks in Canberra. And this is, I mentioned before about that really fine acting on stages across the planet. We had the absolute privilege of playing father and son in Tennessee Williams' Cat on a Hot Tin Roof on stage. And it was one of the most profound experiences of my life. I first off loved that character, but I think what I found from him, he gave me so much to work with. He was one of those actors that, like, in the complete embodiment of his own project, of his own acting work, gave me so much fruit, gave me so much fuel, gave me so much to chew on. Um, because he just served the story so beautifully. And so where my character was trying to go left, his character, in keeping with what the writing needed, would like leave space to scoop me back from the left. Do you know what I mean? And that is so fatherly. And it was so perfect for the role. Um, and it taught me so much about being so generous that, like, in your craft, it is always, and like you hear this at drama school, you hear this from people on YouTube reels and things. It's always about the other actor, right?
Mm.
That's sounds cool, but it's hard to do because again, 200 people looking at me, I'm trying to like deal with that first, and then I've got to realize, oh, I got to deal with you, right? So it can be a lot,
Mm.
right? But again, it's one of those things that can actually really drop you into the role, can drop you into the work, is just focus on the person you're talking to. Give them something, give them, like, follow them where they're going, be with them in that moment. And he really taught me that whilst doing it so like brilliantly contextualized to the writing. And I felt like I didn't grow up with a dad, and it felt like
Mm.
he was my father in a way that like
Mm.
doesn't often cross over like that. That sounds really like cool. It sounds like a someone is an actor and writes a Tumblr article about how I really felt like he was my dad, right? But like we're colleagues, right? But it was one of those feelings where I got like in the core of me, I could see him like move with me like a father would it with a struggling son to like be like, hey, come back,
Yeah.
like focus, and that compassion and love that was in the writing, and then he brought it into his performance. And there were nights where I was watching what he was doing in awe because I was like, holy shit,
Mm.
you're teaching me to be a better actor right now and teaching me to be a better man and teaching my character as your character to be a better man. Like it was really cool.
It's such a
Shout
rare
out Michael
thing.
Sparks. I love you, Michael.
Yes. No, I love that because yeah, you don't always get that level of let's say peace when you're acting. You don't
Mm,
always get that level of where you can just fully just engage and like just feel comfortable.
yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, it's so true. There's a scene where my character had like a full breakdown. I don't
Mm.
know, I'm not sure how familiar you are with the play, but basically the character is an alcoholic, and he's like
Yeah.
he was the golden boy and is now drinking himself to death, and the father is trying to figure out what's going on.
Mm.
And there's a scene where my character just has a tantrum. He just spits the dummy and like freaks out and trashes the room and flails himself around. And you're right. I was so safe in those moments with Michael to really go there. And that I think
Yeah.
made some really intense and exciting theater.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I guess in those roles you also want to do it justice. So to be able to be comfortable in that is really good.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Okay. What has been your funniest moment on set?
I was with Vane today actually, and we were talking about the scene in After Awakening where he smashes the bottle on my head.
Mm.
I mean, it wasn't probably the funniest, but it's the first thing that jumped to my head because it was so fun to do. And we were showing it. The reason brought it up is we were shooting some stuff earlier today, some promo stuff, and we were with a producer there who wanted to see some of our work together, and we showed him, and he panicked and like was like, "Oh my God, is that real glass?" And like, of course it's not, but I just remember like we had barely met Zane and I at that point. We had been shooting in this like this warehouse in Brooklyn for like 2 days, but didn't really know each other. And it was the first film we'd worked on together. And all of a sudden, he's like headbutting me and smashing me with a bottle. And I, again, was pretty fresh out of drama school. So I was just so happy
Mm.
to be there. And I look back on that and even though it was like only a year ago or something now, and like, I guess just because how far things have moved and how quickly things have moved, it feels so like young and fun and like, oh my God, like I don't know, there's like a tone to it that I look back on and I kind of giggle a little bit. We were just so excited to be making things together, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. If you could star in a vertical that you would class as your perfect storyline, what would it be?
Mm. Have you ever seen the film Inside Llewyn Davis?
No, I haven't.
It's not old, but it's a Coen Brothers film about a musician. I would love, 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 love to do a film like that vertically. I think it's something that we will do down the line. I think
Mhm.
in the next like year, we're going to see a lot of more daring scripts being written and produced. And that's the sort of thing that like is a bit of a deviation from the current vertical model. Like for instance, that film isn't like a comedy or anything. It's a drama
Mhm.
about a musician who's struggling and really struggling in New York and Chicago in like the 50s. Um,
Yeah.
but I would love to do like a, like a 1950s set like music biopic style film shot in like the East Village in New York. I think would be so cool. I think it would be so
Yeah.
cool. I love playing characters who have potential but are struggling to get there. Maybe it's something that I really relate to. I don't know. But I love those characters. And yeah, I just feel like that down and out musician, that sort of arc. My friends and I have spoken a lot about writing a film. Like we're all into the blues and we play guitar, and we've been talking about writing a blues story, the story of like a guitarist, like a guy selling his soul to the devil so that he can be better at the blues, and then realizing what he's done. You know what I mean? But I think these rely on newer audiences to come in, and to us for us to establish the culture, for us to establish that the vertical culture has more space for a variety of different genres, which a lot of people are going to try. And I think initially it'll start
Yeah.
with like crazy action movies, which is cool. With like people will throw a bunch of different options and like horror movies, which would be awesome. Everyone's been calling for a musical vertical. Um, and eventually we'll end up in the space where we can make like true indie films in vertical
Mm.
form. You know what I mean? I just want to
Yeah.
do it in a way that we don't alienate our current audiences, because we've got to bring everyone with us. That's the whole thing. So like we can't just throw random stuff at them because we want to make films, man. Do you know what I mean? We
Yeah.
have to like bring people with us. That's part of being respectful, and like the amount of the amount of joy that these audiences have brought to us. We have to be respectful and bring them with everything we're doing going forward. So I just think there's a process whereby we don't just jump into these like indie spaces and like do all of these art house movies from the jump. I think we take our time to establish the industry properly and make sure that there's
Mm.
room for both types of verticals.
Yeah. I mean, I know so many people are calling for change, and sure, there can be some things
Mm,
that do need changing, but I keep saying it's not going to happen overnight. It can't happen overnight. You know,
no.
no, it just can't. Like, we have to be patient.
Yeah.
But the one thing I want to see for verticals is for people, like, for encourage people's natural talents that they already have. Some of you, like again,
Yeah.
guitar players, beautiful singers, use that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Use that in the verticals.
Yeah.
Let them use their natural talents.
I totally, totally, totally agree. I think again, it's just early in the process. I think some of the
Mm,
casting process is a bit rudimentary as well. I just think that's just like because it's early, so they don't quite know all of our talents. The casting teams are
mm,
still trying to figure out who we are. You know, it's only like a couple years really they've been casting us, but also the turnover of casting teams. There's several different waves of casting teams that I've seen change. You know, since I've come into verticals. So that as the teams get to know us all more and like invest the time in understanding who we are as talent, and talent forward casting, I think is a big thing for verticals. I've been seeing that like the next phase may be strategically they try, these three month wave attempts of gauging data, right? So
mhm.
right now you're seeing a lot of influencers and people with big Instagram followings getting jobs in verticals, which
Yeah,
some of them are going to be awesome, so cool. Like I'm not saying that that's a bad thing necessarily, but we right now that's an investment based on the data, right,
yeah,
rather than it based on personnel and people's talents. And I think if we get to the point where verticals aren't as reliant on data alone, which right now seems like an alien moment, but we'll get there, I
Yeah.
promise.
Yeah.
But at some point, they will be the product and talent will be the sort of forward thinking part of the of putting a project together, not just sort of data and how to write to spike data. And in that
Mm.
process will require causing people to know their talent a little bit better and know that, for instance, if they need a guitar player, they don't have to just like cast an Instagram dude and dub over the guitar. They can cast one
Mm.
of the number of us that play guitar and are actors. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, well, and that ripples across the talent pool from like co-production opportunities where like you go to someone like, for instance, Mariah Moss, who is a beautiful writer,
Mm.
and you get her to write scripts with you. And so the current platforms have kind of skipped that or missed that. And now she's working with other major platforms, like major companies who are stepping into the space. And they do operate like that. So they're getting her to write scripts, which means that they're like these tailored, brilliant, like vertical specified scripts that are ready for market because she really knows what she's doing. And so it's like also
That's
about that.
brilliant.
It's about knowing that like your talent are not just like pretty faces to make data spike when someone stops from scrolling. Your talent can
Yeah.
be a hell of a lot of value for your projects. Your talent can bring a
Yeah.
lot. I think that's just something again will have to develop this year.
Mm. Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure about your like applying process to all of these. Like, I don't know. I have no idea about it. So, like, we apply for a job and you give your resume. I know you do
Right.
audition tapes and things like that. But is
Yeah.
there a way that possibly everybody can just start putting in their natural talents in like kind of
There
first
is. So
thing?
like it's a mixture. It's a mixture between I get personally, I can only really speak to myself. I get a lot of
Mm.
offers. So like people DM my Instagram and ask me for my availability, check whether I'm available for a set of dates. Um, but then I will also go through a website called Actors Access, which is like a paid for thing, right? And then there's a bunch of job listings there. And as part of your profile, you can put like all of your little like talents. But I
Okay.
don't know how much people really look at that, to be
Mm.
honest. Like, what are they doing going through it? And also, like, do they believe it? I could put like I'm like fluent in Russian and no one would
Yeah.
question it. And then what, they're gonna give me a job because like I said I could speak Russian. So it's there's a personal investment that has to be made as well, where like
Mm.
casting teams, producers do have personal relationships with talent, and therefore, and it's
Mm.
not in order to like make it a buddies club. It's so that you can, like we keep saying, get the best out of the people you're collaborating with, both
Mm.
commercially and artistically, you know?
Yeah. No, absolutely. Okay. Um, if you could go back and relive a single day in your career, which day would you pick?
I would go back and do the play Cat on a Hot Tin Roof one more time. I loved it so
Mhm.
much. It was such a special experience for me. And if I could just go and do it again, just one more time. Give me another go, coach. You know what I mean? I would
Yeah.
love that. I would love that. And I think people always feel that way about their roles. I mean, a lot of people feel that way about roles, especially ones that affected them, that like, just give me another go. Like, I
Yeah.
don't think it's ever finished. I just want to like, I want to try again. And I want to try. There's like moments that I've been thinking about for 5 years. You know what I mean? That I'm like, what if I
Mm.
did this? Or like, I remember I did that one night and it really worked. How do I get there from, because you have to plot yourself there. So if I do this half an hour earlier, if I do that this way, does that lead to that happening? You know what I mean? Like, that's what it
Yeah.
kind of feels like doing shows like that. So,
Yeah. I was speaking to Dan a little while ago, and we were talking
right.
about this question, I think, and he said that he wants to now go back and film one of his earlier audition tapes just to see the difference in
Yeah.
how much he's
Yeah.
grown.
See how much he's grown. Yeah. I
Yeah.
love
So it'd
that.
be good to do that play again if you had the chance, just to see,
Yeah.
how
See,
much you've
exactly.
grown as well.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Is there anything you want anybody to know about you or your work?
There's so much more coming. Keep an eye out.
Mhm.
2026 is going to be massive, 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 massive. Um, there are so many plans. There are so many irons in the fire. There are going to be more and more amazing crews and teams coming into this space. Um, this year, welcome them with open arms because we're about to take everything up a whole nother level. It is so exciting. And there are things that can be released in sort of spread more widely soon, probably after the new year. But there are some really, really, really cool projects coming, and I just am so excited for people to see what we've got cooking.
Excellent. Excellent. Okay, and one more question. What does
Yeah.
a good day on set look like for you?
I like when I get there and breakfast is healthy. That's always helpful.
Hmm.
That can be a struggle on sets.
Yeah.
But it's always really nice to start feeling like nice and like healthy and trim and ready. I love when a set just hums. I love when everyone's in sync. Like it usually happens like like of a 9 day shoot, like day five, you're like, you've figured it out. Everyone's like in
Mm.
step with one another. We know how everyone works. We know like when someone goes, hey, do da ba da ba, we know the boom, 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 and then the guy appears.
Yeah.
Like you're all in step with one another, which is really
Yeah.
cool. Um, so like days like that are a dream. And then you mix that with like if we're shooting something cool on one of those days, they're the best. Like if you're shooting a fun scene or some cool stunt scene and it's on a day where everyone's connecting and everyone's like on point, that's the most satisfying. It's like working in a kitchen. Or you know, what's that? Overcooked. Have you ever played that video game Overcooked? Where like there's you've got
Mm.
it's a weird little video game, like a side by side couch game where like you're playing in a kitchen and someone has to cut up tomatoes and someone has to like slice bread and toast bread and then you got to put the bread over to the tomato section so the person cutting the tomatoes can put the tomato onto the bread and then you
Oh,
put the other
yeah.
bread on and then you serve it to the people, right? It's like a little kitchen simulated thing, right?
Mm.
It's super cutesy but super like chaotic and crazy. Sets are insane. And if you can
Mm.
make a set feel like one of the best runs on that Overcooked game, it is the best because everyone's just like, here's your this, and this, blah, 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 and everything lines up, and then you get to the point where it's B and action, and the scene goes, right? And it's just
Yeah.
so satisfying. I mentioned before that we as actors are kind of technically the last puzzle piece in that process, and that can be crazy. That can be really, really stressful because it does feel like a lot of the time, especially when you don't have much time to prep, when you've got like maybe a couple of takes and you've had the script a week or whatever. Um,
Hmm.
it can be really frustrating that everyone has a chance to take their time doing their job. The client gets moved 4 times. Is that better? And move it back. And like all of those things take time and get really like they get the respect. And then you get to the camera being on the actor, and the actor, like everyone's like, come on, finish, just do it, do your bit, do your bit. We've all done, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
So that can be really stressful. But on those days where
Yeah.
everyone's in sync, it's not as bad. On those days where
Yeah.
everyone's in sync, everyone is giving each other the space to work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And usually because everyone's in sync, it means it moves quicker to the point at which the camera's in your face, which means by that point people are more patient because it's
Yes.
gotten there quicker. You know what I mean? They've not been waiting for so long. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I love that. I think that's honestly my happy place. Like when a
Mm.
set is like good vibes and a set is like moving well and I feel like we're accomplishing what we're trying to accomplish, that is
Mm.
like my absolute happy place. I don't feel
Yeah.
anywhere on the world where I'm more myself, I think.
That's good. You know, I need to look into that game because I think that's something my kids would love.
Oh, dude, they would. They would. It's called
Yeah.
Overcooked, and there's like 5 of them now
Overcooked.
because they love a sequel.
Okay. I'll definitely look into that. All right. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to have this interview with me today. I appreciate it.
Dude, thank you so much for having me. It's such a pleasure to meet you.
Yeah, you too. All right. I will talk to you very soon.
Yes, be
Thanks.
well. Have an
Okay.
amazing time in your holidays, okay?
Thank you. Thanks.
Okay.
Bye.
Have fun in Melbourne. Ciao.
Thank you. Bye.